What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about a character that I feel had such promise and who I believe had the best potential to be the greatest Dragon Ball antagonist in the entire series. That character is none other than Granolah the Survivor. So I remember when they first revealed that Granolah was going to be the new antagonist and plot point for the next arc after the roller coaster that was the Moro saga. Man, this was such an exciting time to be a Dragon Ball fan because we're finally going past the Tournament of Power, and the Moro arc, even though with its flaws, felt like such a return to form for the franchise. So when they revealed Granolah and his design, it was like nothing we had ever seen before. It just felt so fresh. With his gunslinger aesthetic, wild-looking hair, and that awesome monocle targeting eye thing on his face, I mean, he looked like something out of Jak and Daxter. It was just so cool. So, safe to say I was excited, and I think many other people were as well. So let's talk about what they brought to the table as far as his character. Granolah was from a planet called Cereal, home to the Cerealians. As a child, this planet ended up getting ransacked and destroyed by invading Saiyan warriors under Frieza's command. Granolah carried this weight and anger with him throughout his life and was seeking revenge on the Saiyans. Now, you might have heard this type of narrative before in the franchise, and it sounds a lot like Baby from Dragon Ball GT. Now, if you're like me and somebody who actually enjoyed Dragon Ball GT, this was really cool because I always thought Baby was one of the top 5 villains in all of Dragon Ball for this exact reason. This type of narrative, though a little cliche, very rarely can fail. You can't go wrong with a good revenge story. Though the difference here is that Granolah isn't introduced as a revenge-seeking maniac. He's a young man alone in the universe, the last surviving member of his race doing work as a bounty hunter employed by the Heaters, seeking to gain more power to eventually kill Frieza and avenge his people. Now, this idea is really cool because most of the villains in Dragon Ball are either doing somebody else's bidding, or are just power-hungry maniacs seeking to destroy the world of the universe. Now, there isn't anything wrong with that. We obviously had some of the best stories come from that. However, the idea of some lone nobody with his own unique abilities, but not necessarily a world-ending threat, was really interesting and could have made this a top 3 arc in all of Dragon Ball, in my opinion. However, the keywords there are could have. Eventually, Granolah makes a wish with the Cerealian Dragon Balls to make himself the strongest in the universe at the cost of shortening his lifespan. Very cool concept, and it shows that Granolah is willing to go any length, including shortening his life, in order to avenge his people. Still cool, it was kinda handed to him, but alright, I can deal with it. We've seen that kind of power up plenty of times in Dragon Ball. The real issue here are his employers, the Heaters. Now, not a bad group of characters. They started off well, and their designs are really cool too, almost like a second attempt at Bojack and his crew. The dynamic between Granolah and the Heaters is great stuff. They both have their motives and their reasons for working with one another and kind of pretend to like each other. Eventually, the Heaters decide to use Granolah's rage to their benefit, and Granolah eventually gets manipulated into fighting Goku and Vegeta. Now, all the stuff between Goku, Vegeta, and Granolah is really entertaining and interesting stuff because it forces Goku and Vegeta, and especially Vegeta, to think about the Saiyans' past mistakes, and we really get to see a different side of Vegeta, much like in the Moro arc where he feels regret for his past mistakes on Namek and then the Mechian people. We also learned that Granolah only survived his planet's destruction because of Bardock. That's right, Goku's father was one of the invading Saiyans in his planet and had a change of heart, deciding to save Granolah and his mother. Like, yeah, I get what they were trying to do here, trying to tie all the characters together, like specifically him and Goku, but it was just poor execution and quite the coincidence. It seemed a little shoehorned if you ask me. My god, Bardock, what have they done to you? Anyways, here's where things take a turn for the worst in my opinion. Eventually the Heaters enter the battle, specifically the youngest sibling Gas. Now, throughout all this, we practically have not learned anything about Gas besides the fact that he's the youngest sibling out of them all. Elec eventually makes a wish with the Dragon Balls, wishing for Gas to be the strongest in the universe, at the cost of his lifespan just like Granolah. Gas wants to prove his worth to his family, specifically his older brother and leader of the family, Elec. But when you compare that to the motives of Granolah, like, who cares? From this point forward, the story and attention starts to shift away from Granolah to Gas. And we also get a little bit of backstory showing that Gas ended up fighting, well, you guessed it, Bardock. Like, what were the odds of that? Listen, I know that this video is supposed to be about Granolah, but bear with me. The reason I bring this up is because this arc just came to a complete halt, almost like when writing the story, Toyotaro lost faith in Granolah being the main antagonist, and had to shoehorn in a quote-unquote real villain. Like, I get that they were there from the beginning and Granolah was just part of their scheme. Cool, however, keep the story about that. Let the story end with Granolah learning that he was just a pawn in all this, and make the next arc about the Heaters and their quest to overthrow Frieza. Oh yeah, and Frieza. So, after my man Granolah gets completely sidelined by the significantly less interesting character Gas, Frieza comes in after learning about the Heater's plan to overthrow him and completely one-shots not only Ultra Instinct Goku and Ultra Ego Vegeta but Gas as well, making it feel like all this time with him was just a waste of time. They did all that work to make us like him just to kill him off almost immediately. Now, don't get me wrong, the fight with Gas and all that stuff is cool, and I don't necessarily hate Gas as a character, I just hate how they used him and how he ended up pushing aside a character we have taken so much time to get to know, and someone who had significantly better motive behind his actions. I feel like the story beats in this arc were like two separate arcs crammed into one. As I stated before, I think they would have been better had they ended this arc with Granolah learning that he was nothing but a pawn, and the next arc be about the three of them going to stop the Heaters in their plan to overthrow Frieza. Alright, so I might be rambling a little bit here now, so let me try to bring this all around. Despite all this, the arc wasn't all that bad, and I don't hate Granolah. It's just that when I go back to this arc and reread it, it gives me the same feeling I get when I watch Dragon Ball GT. Great ideas, but poor execution. Especially because I feel like Granolah in this arc, in general, could have been top 3 in all of Dragon Ball. He reminded me of how Broly was portrayed in Dragon Ball Super Broly, and that he wasn't somebody that we rooted against, it wasn't somebody that we wanted to see get killed by our heroes like Cell or Frieza. He was a character that was relatable and a character that we could sympathize with, and I think that's why it's unfair to say he as a character sucked, when in reality it's Gas that sabotaged Granolah's story. So anyways guys, that'll do it for today's video. Definitely let me know in the comments below what you thought of Granolah and his character. Do you think that he was wasted potential? And do you think that Gas sidelined him as a character? I definitely want to hear your thoughts, so let me know. And if you really enjoyed this arc, all the power to you, man. You know, that's what this is all about. We all respect each other's opinions here on this channel, and I want this to be a free space for everybody to share their opinions. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. See ya!